Bears coaching search continues as they have requested to interview the now former Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking some NFL, here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, hit the big red subscribe button down below. Make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. And guys, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video. Bringing the heat for you guys, putting out a ton of content every single day. Best way to support the channel. Subscribe, guys. Thank you so much for that. So with that being said, let's get into it. Brian Flores, who got canned from the Miami Dolphins, took this news and everybody was shocked. Everybody was shocked. NFL players, media, personnel, fans, everybody was shocked by this news. Why? Because Brian Flores did not do anything to warrant him getting fired. So before I even talk about whether or not he'd be a good fit for the Bears, let's talk about why I believe he was fired. Again, we don't know the actual facts, but from things that I've read, I read an article from an NFL reporter, and I believe this, folks. I believe the reason Brian Flores was fired was a difference of opinion with the owner of the Dolphins. I believe Brian Flores was not all in on Tua Tagovailoa, and I believe the Dolphins owner, who again gave up a lot of invested a lot of draft capital into Tua, is all in on Tua, okay? We all know they made a mistake not taking Justin Herbert in that draft. Joe Burrow wasn't available. He was gone by the time the Dolphins drafted, but they definitely should have taken Herbert. The reports are that Flores preferred Herbert, and they still took Tua because the owner wanted Tua. And now, I believe Flores is not all in on Tua. Again, he started Fitzpatrick over Tua before. So the Dolphins owner probably wants a coach in there who's bought in on the quarterback. So that's why I believe Flores got the boot. So that's just my thoughts and opinion on that. Let's talk about if he would be a good coach for the Bears. And folks, let me just tell you this. Brian Flores did nothing on the football field to get fired. He is a guy who is a culture changer. Okay? Let me repeat that. Culture changer. Brian Flores comes into Miami, terrible situation, awful roster, nothing to work with. Nothing to work with. And he is able to expedite their rebuild and win games. He finished his career in Miami 24-25. Yes, it's a game below 500. But take a look at the roster that they had when he got there and then what he turned it into. The Dolphins went 5-11, then 10-6, and 9-8. And culture changers come in and do things where they're not expected to. The Dolphins were not expected to be competitive, at least for a couple of years. Second year, Brian Flores wins 10 games. Second year, okay? Comes in, does that. This year, goes on a major losing streak, comes back, bounces back, and they win a bunch of games. So Brian Flores is a guy who changes the culture, which is what you like to see here. And that's great for the Bears because, again, we need somebody who can come in and change the culture. So I would not mind Brian Flores at all. Trust me, I think he would be great. I know he's a defensive guy. I do prefer somebody on the offensive side of the football. That is a preference for me. But Brian Flores, I can make an exception here because, again, he should not be fired. He should be a head coach this morning. And this is where I think the Bears could take advantage. Again, for me, most importantly, it's going to be what the new GM thinks, right? Does he want Brian Flores? And let me just give you some quick numbers here. When Brian Flores got into Miami the first year, again, 5-11, right? They were 32nd in the NFL in defense in terms of points allowed per game, right? Dead last, worst. Next year, 6th. Talk about elite, folks. And then this year, 16th. Again, came back down a little bit mediocre. But again, culture changer. That is what Brian Flores is. That is what he does. And I believe he would be a strong command in the locker room. He screams head coach to me. Whether or not you like the X's and O's, we could talk about that. And again, I prefer somebody on the offensive side. But overall, folks, I would be okay with Brian Flores as a head coach. He's shown me enough here. He should not have been fired. So I'm good with that. So let's see what happens here. But what do you guys think about Brian Flores as a potential head coach for the Chicago Bears? Do you want him? Do you not? Leave a comment down below. As always, thanks for watching.